Hello everyone, I am Chirag from ARC, that is Alumni Relations Cell, Shivaji College. Alumni Relations Cell aims to build a platform where the current students can learn from the former students, seek advice and one-on-one mentorship. We welcome you all to our webinar 4.0. In today's session, we have with us Mr. Piyush Ranjan. He is the founder of Management Masters, a boutique admissions consultancy focused on providing services to applicants for the world's top MIM and MBA programs. He has helped many candidates get admits from world's top business school. He also has significant international experience in domains of e-commerce and operations. In this interactive session, we will discuss on the topic demystifying for an MBA. Also, this is the culmination of the vision of our acting principal, Dr. Shiv Kumar Sahadev, our convener, Dr. Darshan Pandey, our beloved Miss President, Mr. Sethi, and the vibrant team of ARC. So, I hope all your doubts are clear. Now, we are starting the webinar.
Good evening, everyone. So I bring forward the questions. So I bring forward the first and the most popular question, that what is the difference between an MIM and an MBA?
All right. Thank you for that question. That's, I think, especially in India, where we have a lot of misnomers around these management degrees, this is a very, very important question to have. Uh, so, first, let's say I'll start with a very short history in just to make it a bit easier to explain. So, what exactly are MBA programs? MBA programs were designed such that people who are working and who have a bit of experience, they can come back to school, they can come back to colleges, learn from different people who have had experience in other industries or in other domains, and then go back to the workforce with an extra knowledge of how different industries work, how what they have learned they are able to share it with others, and then they can learn from other people's experiences as well. And then when they go back to their workforce, they could go into the same industry or other industries, and they will be able to use these best practices from multiple industries. So MBA programs by default required people who already had a few years of work experience, and then they would go forward. They would come back to school and then go back into the workforce. Now, in India, what happened was the PGDM program, so postgraduate diploma in management or postgraduate diploma in business management. These programs were became very popular because we think of education as a continuation. So you want to do your bachelor's, you want to immediately finish your master's, and then you want to go into work, right? So that's the concept that we have. Now, because of this concept, PGDMs became very popular, and PGDM programs basically do not put any weightage or do not require any work experience. So they allow you to just join after your school. So you are doing a bachelor's, and then right after that, you can actually just directly go into doing your master's, which is a PGDM. Now, calling something a PGDM program or calling it an MBA, it's purely cosmetic. MBA sounds much better. So it became like most of the PGDM programs which are offered by CAT, they started getting called MBA when they are not exactly MBA. They're not called MBA degrees, they are PGDMs. And that's where the confusion comes in. When we talk of MBA programs globally, MBA programs are they still remain the same. So they would require you to have certain amount of experience. PGDM programs are basically master's programs, which you do right after your bachelor's. MIM programs are the same as PGDM. So they are masters in management programs, which are designed for students who have just completed their masters. They do not have a lot of, practical experience. And this is the basic difference between an MIM or an MBA. So for MIM programs, they are perfectly suited for really young people who do not have a lot of experience, who have just graduated or have 1 or 2 years of experience. Whereas MBA programs are suited for people who have more than 2 years of experience in general. So I think that's the basic difference between MBA and MIM. And then obviously you have certain aspects. Obviously, MBA programs are more expensive, MIM programs are less expensive, they're much more affordable. And then MBA programs are much more prevalent in the US. MIM programs, they are much more popular in Europe. Uh, and so on and so forth. There are some objective differences, but this is the major one, which you really need to be careful about.
Oh, thank you, sir. I bring forward the next question, that is, what is the minimum age of getting admission in foreign MBA or MIM universities?
Minimum age. So schools don't really have an age factor, but they would require, certain conditions in terms of your eligibility criteria. The age is never a factor. It's really about whether you have certain qualifications or not. So for either of the degrees, if you are going for an MIM degree, you can apply right after your bachelor's. If you're going for an MBA, then I guess you need to wait for at least 2 to 3 years after you have graduated and you have worked for a while. So, it really depends on the person in that case. So it could be
Yes,
21,
sir.
22 for MIM, but 24, 25 for MBA.
Okay, thank you, sir. So Rashi has a question. Who should
Mhm.
think of doing an MIM?
Who should think of doing an MIM? So I did. But apart from that, if you feel like, let's say, you're done with your bachelor's and you're not quite ready to go into the workforce already, or you feel that you want to have a master's degree, especially when it comes to MIM programs, one of the greatest benefits that they have is that they can launch you for an international career right after, very, very quickly. So a lot of people, they want to go international, they want to go global with their careers, but they're not able to do so. So MIM programs could be that vehicle for you very easily. So there could be multiple reasons or multiple sort of things which MIM programs are useful for. But then if you actually want to have a global career, or if you want to have a career in management, I don't know if there are any people who are not from a business background in the audience, but if there are, then if such people want to transition into management side of the business, for all such people, MIM programs are a great option. So I went for an MIM program because obviously I wanted a global career, as well as I wanted to shift from being an engineer to to more on the business side of things. So that's basically why I went. But other people, you have personal reasons for everyone. So yeah, it could range from multiple things.
Yes, absolutely. The next question is, how can I build my profile to target the top MIMs?
Um, that's actually one of the most common questions that I get. Also, it's uh, it's pretty simple. When you talk about profiles, what business schools look for is very simple. They want people who are good academically, and they want people who are also holistically, they have a good profile. You don't need to be, the Amitabh Bachchan of your college or something like that. If you have been doing well in academics, you have been taking part in some sort of extracurricular activities, uh, and you have that, you know, uh, drive to get into a good school, it's more than enough to get into a good MIM program. Uh, when I talk about academics, yes, academics is important. It's very important. But and so, for academics, it consists of various parts. So it has your CGPA or percentage, whatever you get in college, but then it also has GMAT component. So the GMAT or GRE, whatever you take, uh, and that's where you can balance it out a little bit. If you don't have great grades, get a great GMAT score, or if you don't have a great GMAT score, you know, that can only be taken care of by the fact if you have great grades. Uh, so that's one aspect. The other aspect obviously is the extracurricular part. Extracurricular part does not mean you have to go for NGOs only. It could be anything that you would like to do, uh, but something that you are really, interested in. If you do something for the admission committees to figure that out when you write your essays and things like that. So you have to be genuinely interested in doing something, and you have to do those things very, in a very passionate way or in a very genuinely interested way. And if you do that, it becomes much easier for you to get through. Obviously, you will have to write, you have to complete the different sections of the application. So that would usually require you to finish a few essays and things like that, and questions like what do you want to do, why do you want to go for an MIM, or what do you want to do post your MIM, what are your goals and things like this. So you have to think about those. But then as far as the profile is concerned, it's more than enough to say, that if you have confidence on your profile, I think that's more than enough. You should have some experiences that you are able to share, and that would usually come through your participation in various activities.
Okay, sir. Thank you. Sir, Rahul has a question. What are the career opportunities after doing an MIM?
Tons of things. You can do anything that you want. There's nothing, literally, there's nothing stopping you from doing anything that you want. After my MIM, I worked for around 3.5 years in Geneva and Amsterdam, with one of the world's largest luxury groups. And it's really almost the same. Anything in terms of management roles, you can have that. So if you want to become a consultant, you can do that. If you want to become a product manager, you can do that. If you want to become a marketing manager, absolutely fine. Project management, absolutely fine. Finance, go for it. So there's everything that you can actually do. There's nothing stopping you from getting into anywhere. Obviously, you cannot become an engineer after that, but everything which is logical, yes, absolutely. And most of those things exist, and such opportunities are, people have that, and people do that. So a lot of people I know who have gone for MIM programs in Europe, they are working as investment bankers, consultants, digital marketeers. I was working as a project manager and operations manager as well. Uh, and yes, they're doing great jobs, and they're working in Europe as well.
Pretty amazing. Sir, the next question is, how will an MIM help me, and what are the major MIM programs that I should target?
Okay, I think how MIM helps you, I think we have covered that a bit. It can really help you launch a global career. It does not help a lot if you want to go outside and then come back right after, right? So if you go outside, you spend 2 years outside, and then you just want to come back, that will not be great. Uh, Obviously, in terms of educational learning, it's great, but it will not be the most ideal situation for you. But then, I'm sorry, could you repeat the second part of the question?
Sure, sir.
Which colleges? Which colleges, right?
Yes, sir.
Which colleges? So, check out FT rankings for that. You will see that lots of colleges which are, available, which have MIM programs, great MIM programs, to be honest. But you can have, some of the top ones are University of St. Gallen for its strategy and international management program. That is like the #1 program for the last 9 years in the world. And then you have HEC Paris, you have ESSEC Business School, ESCP Europe, you have WHU Mannheim, Vienna University, Rotterdam. There's tons of schools. There are a lot of options, LBS. So tons of options available for you. You have to basically choose which one actually fits your goals the best. If you don't do that, then it becomes a bit difficult.
Thank you, sir. So we have the next question from a third-year student. Can a guy from India who has done a 3-year bachelor's degree join for MBA in USA? And what is the timeline for MBA admissions?
Can a guy from India with a 3-year degree join a US MBA? Yes, it happens all the time. You need to have the right amount of work experience for that, but so not right away. But absolutely, that happens, and that's pretty common. As for the timeline for the application, usually applications, if you want to join in 2021, the application will be 1 year before that. So that's how the application timelines for MBA programs work. The same applies also for MIM programs. But yeah, if you are in third year right now, it doesn't make sense to think about MBA at this moment because you cannot really apply for the next 2 years at least. So what you can do instead is you can get your GMAT or GRE score done and then wait for the next 2 years and then you can apply after that.
Thank you, sir. The next question is, should I go for MIM or deferred MBA?
Now, that's a very good question. Thank you. Should you go for MIM or deferred MBA? I would say go for both because deferred MBA programs, so what they do for those people who don't know, as I said, MBA programs, they are for people who have work experience. So what schools have started doing, MBA schools have started doing is they start taking applications from really bright, brilliant students who are still in college and who may or may not go for an MBA a few years down the line. And what they do is they would ask you to apply. And if they find you good enough, they give you a deferred admission. So that's basically a deferred MBA. What this means is that you have an admission right now, even while you are, when you have just graduated, actually without any experience. And you can use this admission ticket sort of to join any class in the future once you have attained a minimum number of years of experience. So let's say you apply today for a deferred MBA program, you get admit, so you have that ticket. And then in 2024, you say, "Ticket, now is the time and I want to join for an MBA." You can do that. That's basically what the deferred MBA program does. So then for the next 3 years or 4 years, you don't really have to worry about where am I going to go for my MBA? I have to apply, I have to do things. You don't have to worry about that. So that's the biggest benefit of a deferred MBA program. That said, the competition for deferred MBA programs is usually very, very high. It's not that if you just apply, you get through. And very few schools offer deferred MBA programs. So you have to be very careful when you're applying for that. And you have to keep, your safety net as well. So apply for both. Apply for deferred MBA programs, apply for MIM programs, see where you get through, and then have this discussion. What is better for you to join? Should you actually join an MIM program right now, or should you wait to join a deferred MBA program? But in general, it's always good to have just apply to both. There's no point in not applying.
And so what about GRE and GMAT?
GRE and GMAT, could you elaborate a bit on the question? Because these are tests that you have to take. So
which one should I take? GRE
which
or
one
GMAT?
should you take? There's no preference. So GRE or GMAT, there's, again, a lot of people have this confusion that there might be a preference for schools. There is no such preference. If a school is taking both the tests, the weightage for both the tests is the same. So whether you take GRE or you take GMAT, it does not matter to the school. What matters is that you should have a good score. That's it. So, take the tests, aim for a great score, and that's it. Don't think about, I've taken the GRE, my chances are low. I've taken the GMAT, your chances are high. So it doesn't work that way.
Okay, sir. We have another popular question, that is, why foreign MBA is more demanding even though we have top business schools here?
Why foreign MBAs are more demanding? Okay, that is actually a great question, because foreign MBAs are not more demanding. Uh, it's the way that foreign MBAs evaluate, that is very different from what Indian B schools do. So I'm not talking about ISB. ISB is very different, but I'm talking about the CAT programs. The way CAT programs evaluate you, or the way you get entrance to IIMs, the 2-year programs that they have, the flagship ones, it's very heavily biased towards academics. So if you have a great academic score, you have a great, first you need to get 99.99 percentile in CAT. I don't even know how it works exactly. I've never given CAT. And then after getting that percentile, if you are able to get a call from the IIMs, then they will take your 10th, 12th, pata nahi kaun se academics ka. They'll get a score, they'll give you an extra mark if you are female, they'll give you an extra mark if you're an engineer or something like that. And then basically they try to accumulate that and get you into an interview and things like that. So the entire selection process of the IIMs through CAT, that is very heavily biased towards academics. Now, this doesn't happen with foreign MBA programs. Foreign MBA programs are much more uh, holistic in nature when it comes to the applications. So this is true for MBA or MIM programs as well. The schools are not just looking for academics overachievers, but they are really looking for people who have a very holistic profile, who have not just been great in academics and stupid in other places. They have to be good in academics so that they can obviously do the master's program properly, but then they also have to have other facets to their personality. They cannot be just like stuck to their books. They should be involved in extracurricular activities. They should be involved in they should show some sort of personality rather than uh, just being a you know bookworm or something like that. And that's something which is very alien to Indian students, because bachpan se yahi sikhaya hai ki you study, and that's the most important thing, that's the only important thing. And this is basically where it breaks. So I often get a lot of candidates who come to me and say ki I have 9%, I have 9 CGPA or 95 percentile percent, do I still need to have work experience for a foreign MBA program? Yes, you do need to have foreign work experience, because getting a 95% does not, there is no comparison between getting a 95% in academics or in school and having 2 years of work experience. The two things are very different. Uh, and that's basically why Indian candidates get very confused and find it very difficult. So I hope that answers the question. But if there's another part to it, just let me know.
No, sir. The next question is, why is MBA so popular than MIM among Indians?
Yeah. So MBA is popular because it has been there for the longer period of time. MBAs have existed for almost more than 50, 70 years. MIM programs are much more young in a sense. So they have only been there for the last 20 years or so. And that's one of the biggest reasons. The second reason is because MBA programs, the ones which are very, very popular, they're mostly in US. So it's a very US friendly phenomena. And the thing is with US, it's very easy to migrate to US as well because of the English speaking nature of the country. For European programs, usually when you go to a European country, you you need to put in a lot of effort to assimilate there. So you'll probably need to learn a new language so that you can gel up better with the local population uh, and things like that. So that is another reason. It's not a huge reason why people don't apply, but it definitely is one of the reasons why it is more favorable. And this third one is basically the name. So because everybody thinks that they are doing an MBA when they're going for the 2-year program at IIMs, They think, doing an MBA in India and doing an MBA outside is basically the same, which it is not. So the MBA or PGDM programs, they're actually equal to MIM programs internationally, but people don't realize that because they don't have that information. So that's basically, I think, three reasons why MBA programs are more popular. But yeah, I think this is changing slowly because people are getting more and more aware. But it will take time, obviously.
Okay, sir. Thank you. The next question is, will foreign MBA still be in demand by Indian students after post-COVID-19 situation?
Hmm. Actually, yes, and it's a great time to go for an MBA program right now, to be honest, because uh, what happens is if you apply now, in any case, you'll be getting an admit next year. And if you get an admit for next year, so you go next year, and then you will graduate even 2 years later. So it's basically you apply today in 2020, you'll be graduating in 2023. And this entire recession and job issues and whether you'll find jobs or not jobs, whether there'll be placements or not, all these issues will be faced by people in 2020 and 2021. By 2023, it is expected that all these problems will be solved. And while others are facing this problem of not getting jobs or getting laid off, as an MBA or MIM candidate, you are basically chilling out in your school and saying, "ठीक है, हाँ, next class कौन सा है?" So that is basically one of the reasons why people, whenever recession happens or things like these happen, most of the MBA applications, they see a huge rise in number of applications. They become more competitive, and it does absolutely make sense.
Okay, sir. Sir, Chirag wants to know, is it possible to apply on our own without any external help from a consultant?
Absolutely. Yes. Yes. I applied without any external help. Then I started helping others to apply. But it's absolutely possible, and it's absolutely, and you can apply and you can get through for most of the schools. What consultants do is, a lot of people do not have, you need to have a lot of clarity when you are applying. When you're writing your essays, you need to have a lot of clarity in terms of what you want to show and how do you want to present yourself, how do you want to present your story, which experiences do you want to share or not. If you have that clarity and you're good at writing and things like that, absolutely go ahead, apply by yourself. Don't pay a consultant, because at the end of the day, you already have that clarity, so you're wasting your money. But if you feel that you might not have that clarity, or you might need somebody to guide you through the process, then a consultant can be really helpful. So hiring a consultant is not a mandatory thing. Like, if you expect that you'll hire, for example, if you come to me and say, "I want to hire you, you do entire application, I don't want to take any part of it." Sorry, I don't work like that. You will still have to do a lot of work. It's just what I will do is that I will show you the right way to do it. And if you already know the right way, then there is no point in coming to me and paying me stuff,
Absolutely.
paying money, right? So it could be possible for you to get through. Absolutely, I've done that myself. But if you think that you need help, don't feel shy of going to a consultant, because maybe this might be the only reason why you did not get through, right? So don't feel shy of asking for help, but if you feel that you can do it without it, go ahead and do it.
The next question is, how important is it to speak to alumni of our target B school?
Mm, it is very, very important. Very important. Uh, Speaking to alumni is not just like कि हाँ hi hello बोल दिया and you're done. When you talk to alumni, uh, there are certain things that you need to keep in mind. There are certain things that you need to learn about the school or about the courses. which will help you for your applications. You're not just saying hi for the sake of it. When you're doing an application, there are a lot of things that you need to know about the school. And that is for that exactly, you need to talk to alumni. If you don't talk to alumni, there is no way you will learn things about the school. For example, if let's say if you want to know more about ARC Shivaji, if somebody wants to know more about Shivaji College, how would they get to know that? They can either get to know it through uh, they can either get to know it through the website, or the best way to get to know Shivaji College would be by talking to you guys, right? So in the same way, if you're applying to a school, if you want to know more about the school, it's very, very important that you talk to alumni, to admission committees and things like that, or attend info sessions from the school and things like that.
Okay, sir. Moving on to the next question. What should be my target score for MIM straight after undergrad?
What should be your target score? Could you repeat the question? I'm a bit confused.
What should be my target score for MIM straight after undergrad? GRE score, if possible.
Okay, so GRE or GMAT scores. Uh, that is something, there's no set formula for that, but check out your target schools. Where exactly are you planning to apply, and see what sort of average scores that they have, and then try to be close to that. So for example, let's say if you see HEC Paris and you find that the average GMAT score at HEC Paris is 720, then yeah, get close to 720. If it turns out to be 690, then get close to 690. So try to be in that range. But there's no single score which will allow you an admission into all the schools or something like that. If you want such a score which will help you for all schools, yeah, don't have a target score. Target for the maximum. Go for 800 in GMAT and 340 in GRE. And then you are sure that whichever school you apply to, you're obviously above the average.
Okay,
So
sir.
yeah,
So the next question is it risky to go for a 10-month program or other short courses?
a 10-month program. Uh, to be honest, it depends on what sort of course are you going. So before you are actually going for the course, you need to do that research. Is it actually a course worth going to? There could be some courses which are very, very well known, which are very reputed, and it might be a 10-month course or something, but it has to be, it could add a significant brand value to you, or it could give you the things that you want. Then it's absolutely fine. But a lot of people actually go for an MBA when they don't really need it, and then even an MBA, which is a 2-year program, is absolutely useless for them. So you need to find basically what you want to do, and then what fits that. So whether it's 3 months, 10 months, 2 years, that is a different, that's not the parameter which actually helps you out. The parameter which helps you out is going to be what do you want to do and how do you need help.
Okay, sir. Moving on to the next question. Sir, if a STEM program, if a STEM program would be a better choice, better shot than a non-STEM program, especially in US and Canada?
So I'm not sure if a lot of people actually are aware about the STEM programs, but STEM programs are basically programs which are, uh, in a nutshell, they have a lot of scientific courses, or rather science related courses. And if you get that course done and then you get into a job which is a STEM related or rather STEM certified job, then you can work in the US for 3 years without requesting a visa renewal. Otherwise, in general, you can only work in the US for 1 year. So that's basically what STEM programs are. So, obviously there is a very obvious advantage of getting into a STEM program. But in general, the STEM program again is a very new thing. It has only been there for the last 4 or 5 years. And people have not been going to the US for the last 4 or 5 years only. They have been going there for the last 50 years for MBA or other things. So if you get through a STEM program and you are able to join it, great. But if you don't get through a STEM program and go for something which is not STEM, that's not the end of the world. That's still going to be a great program, given how the program is. So don't worry just about, okay, I only want to do STEM or I only want to do non-STEM or things like that. But just figure out what do you want to do, which is the best program for yourself. And yeah, that should work out.
Okay, sir, thank you. The next question is, many students plan for an MIM plus MBA. Is that a sensible combination?
Absolutely, yes. A lot of my classmates from MIM are now, so I went for MIM in 2014, and a lot of my classmates from MIM from then are now actually studying at Stanford, Harvard, INSEAD, NYU Stern, and Columbia, and the top MBA colleges. Uh, but again, it's not something that you just do because you want to do it. You need to feel the need for it. If you have the need to go for an MBA course, absolutely go ahead and do it. If you feel like that it might not be required for you, then don't do it. For example, after my MIM, I don't feel the need for an MBA at all, so I'm not doing it. But then some of my classmates did feel that need, so they went for it, and it's absolutely fine.
Thank you, sir. So can you throw some light on the fees and scholarship scenario?
Sorry?
Can you throw some light on the fees and scholarship scenario?
Fees and scholarships. All right. So for fees, for most of the MIM programs, that depends again where you are going in US or Europe. But in Europe, in general, the fees is on the much lower side. It's much more affordable compared to US, and it would range. It can be zero. In Germany, a lot of schools have very low fees. Uh, and I think as business graduates, you have the upper hand because you can apply for it. Engineers cannot apply. So the competition that you have is very low from India. And apart from that, so it can range from zero to probably around 50,000 euros as well. That really depends on the school and the programs. But that's basically the range of fees in Europe. Uh, if you go to the US, the fees increases and the quality of MIM programs decreases because US schools are not known for uh, MBA are not known for MIM programs, but rather only for MBA programs. So yeah.
Thank you, sir. The next question is, how is the placement process abroad? Like, how do we get job after completing MIM or MBA?
How to get job after completing MIM or MBA? So the placement options don't work in the same way as in India, in Europe, or anywhere outside India. There is a very different process for that, and you need to be very flexible and you need to work very hard for that. So there will be a lot of things. You will have a lot of career fairs where different companies will come, they'll showcase themselves and they'll tell you, okay, we have these are the different things that we do, and if you would like to join us, you can apply for our positions. You can go to their websites, apply to their positions and things like that. So that's how it works usually. And you wouldn't have companies coming to your campus and giving you jobs. So that does not happen. That doesn't work like that in the US. Or in Europe. So you will have to rely a lot on your networking skills. You will have to interact a lot with your alumni, try to attend a lot of networking sessions, attend career fairs, and then figure out what exactly do you want to do or how do you want to do it. Uh, engage with the recruiters. So the entire recruitment process is very different compared to what you see in India. And I think that's a much better way of recruiting as well, because it forces you to go out of your comfort zone. You can't just sit there and expect that everybody will do something for you. Uh, you have to go out and you have to do stuff on your own.
Thank you, sir. The next question is how to choose between a generic master's versus a specialized master's, like master's in finance, business analytics.
All right. So the answer is very simple for that. Depends, whatever you want to study, that totally depends on what you want to study. If you feel like you have a great inclination towards one particular subject, and if you feel like, yeah, let's say I want to, I really like finance and I would really love to work in finance, uh, go for a master's in finance. But if you feel like, yeah, I like finance, but maybe I'm open to exploring more opportunities, or I'm open to exploring other subjects, maybe I like something else, I don't know, I don't want to commit to finance, uh, then go for a general master's. So that completely depends on what you want to do, and that is very important. Understanding what you want to do is the first step towards going for an MIM or an MBA. If you don't know that, then you cannot really go ahead with the program.
Okay, sir. Thank you. I'm looking for more questions. Some students are still sending me the questions, so I'll just wait for them for a minute.
Yeah.
Aryan wants to know which exam is better, IELTS or TOEFL?
So IELTS or TOEFL, there's no such better thing. It's basically just a test. How well can you speak English and write and talk and comprehend? That's it. So there's no better exam in that. It's just a test of whether you can actually talk in English and understand how well can you comprehend English, basically. So there's no such, there's no betterment, there's no comparison between the two. They're two different tests.
A student wants to know, is MBA at ISB as good as MBA abroad, exposure and curriculum-wise?
See, there are two different things. Is an MBA at ISB good? Yes, it's a very good course. It's one of the best courses in India. Yes, absolutely. Is it the same as what you get outside? Then no, because in terms of exposure, obviously at ISB you remain in India. You are surrounded with 97% Indians in the classroom. In terms of curriculum, you'll be talking about Indian businesses and Indian business scenarios. So that's basically, you get a degree which is very Indian in nature, both from the exposure and from the curriculum perspectives. If you go outside, the entire thing becomes international. So you will not be having more than 10% Indians in your class. You will be surrounded with a lot of international students. You will be not working on Indian cases, you'll be working on international cases. So it's good. It's very good, actually, both the places, but we are talking about two different experiences. It's basically something like uh, parathas that your mom makes at home and parathas that are available at Parathe Wali Gali. They're two different things. They are both good, but two very different things, two very different experiences. So I think, yeah, that
Yes,
could be the
sir.
best. Maybe I can give a better analogy, but yeah, I think that helps.
Priyanshi Agarwal has a question. In case anyone isn't financially independent, then is it good to take a scholarship test? If not, then what to do?
A scholarship test, I'm not sure what exactly that is, but if, let's say, if somebody is not financially independent, it's not an issue for most schools, because one, a lot of schools have a lot of you have a lot of scholarship options available at schools, which you automatically become eligible for. And the second thing is that you can always go for loans, and loans work out quite nicely. Uh, in fact, we are, for example, I don't know if you've heard of Prodigy Finance, but Prodigy Finance is one of the biggest lenders in the world. Uh, and they give you a collateral free loan and as much as you want, up to 80% of the fees, and at very low rates. So, and we are, for example, partnered with them. So it's very easy to get these loans for studies, and then you can start paying once you get a job after your course. So it becomes very easy to actually finance your studies. So don't worry too much about it. Uh, they're pretty easy to get, especially in today's time. It's very easy to get an MBA loan or an MIM loan.
Thank you, sir. The next question is, when should a person apply for foreign admissions? Like, what is the timeline?
Mm, I think we've discussed this a bit, no? Uh,
But there's
once
like
you're
students are still like messaging me that if you could just say that again.
all right. So, what is the best timeline to apply? Apply as early as possible. So when the applications are open, once they are open, try and apply in round one, because the earlier you apply, the better your chances are. And in general, the applications start 1 year in advance. If you're joining next year, then the applications would already have started now. If you want to join this year, it is not possible anymore. So you have to keep that timeline in mind. So you have to figure out when do you want to go for an MBA or MIM. And I think that's mostly it. The rest, basically, you just have to figure out when do you want to join and accordingly prepare yourself with everything that is required by the schools.
What are the odds of getting in if we apply in later rounds?
There's no formula for this, but obviously the odds decrease. So and it's very simple to understand. Imagine there is 100 seats in the college. In first round, 40 seats will be gone. In second round, another 35, 40 seats will be gone. So in round three, if you're applying, you only have 20 seats left. So obviously your competition will be much higher and the chances will be much lower. So it's pretty simple.
So can you tell us something about letters of recommendation?
Yes. So letters of recommendation is the only part of your application which you don't write, which comes from somebody else. So it becomes a very, very important piece of information for the schools. And what you need to be very much aware of is that you should talk to people who know you the best. Especially, I think for most of you who are college students, so you'll probably take letters of recommendation from your professors, or if you had gone for an internship, then from that person, whoever you interned with or you reported to. So try to talk to those people as early as possible. Let them know that you are applying and let them know of your plans. And then you have to tell them your story. What do you want them to write about? How they want you to how do you want to project yourself? What exactly you want to highlight to the admission committees, and help them out by by discussing with them what sort of feedback they have given you and things like this. So it's a very, very important part of your entire application, and you should, it can get one of the most challenging parts as well, because you are actually dependent on somebody else to finish your application.
So Ashutosh wants to know how is a top Indian B school different from Harvard or Ivy Leagues, etc.
How is a top Indian B school different from Ivy Leagues? Um, I think we could write pages and pages about that, but I'll be very, very short. A top Indian B school is a top Indian B school, obviously, but only in India. If you're going to Ivy League schools, they are international schools, very globally recognized. The kind of exposure that you get is incomparable to any other schools in the world. The kind of people that you will meet will be you will probably never meet again. Uh, Obviously, I'm not saying that going to top Indian B schools is bad or something. It's great if you're able to get into IIM Ahmedabad, Bangalore or Calcutta or ISB. So it's great if you can get there. Absolutely fine. But the kind of exposure that you get, the kind of learnings that you get, that is very different at international top schools compared to what you will get in India. So I think that's the biggest difference of sorts.
Thank you, sir. Ayush wants to ask you a question. I'm unmuting him for a while. Ayush, speak up.
Uh, Thank you, sir. It was an amazing webinar. And sir, I have a couple of questions that, before the webinar was starting, I was going through a couple of articles and I found out it was regarding that MBA thing that people are like, there were some reviews stating that uh, after completing your MBA from the US or something, many people don't land up into jobs and have to come back to the country, which is a sheer loss of that, say, as in once you are back in the country, you are no not as in much preferred that you have done your MBA from abroad or in any other normal college from India. So I want you to share some light on that. And one more question I have that is like regarding on the same line that one more article I came through. I don't. So that says that we as in the Asian people are not as much like the Europeans are more preferred, and like the Europeans and the US people there are more preferred when it comes to opportunities and other stuffs like such post admission. So how it's like, is it a myth or something? If so, then what are the ways out? So if you could share some light, it will be amazing, sir.
All right. So for the first part, uh, it is possible that you go outside and you don't land a job and you have to come back to India. Yes, it is absolutely possible. It happens also. But it totally depends on the kind of school that you go to. It depends a lot on your luck. Sometimes you can go to some of the top schools but not land a job. Tough luck, can't do anything. But then, I think when it comes to the ROI or कि पैसे बर्बाद हो गए, सब कुछ बर्बाद हो गया. To have that, you need to understand or you need to have a better perspective. Is that if you go to a top school, if you go to Harvard, for example, and then you don't land a job and you have to come back to India, and that happens. It's not impossible. It happens quite a lot. That people come back after not finding a job after Harvard. Uh, what will you do? So obviously for the outsider, it feels like कि Harvard में 1.5 करोड़ रुपए 2 करोड़ रुपए लगाया and then all that is a waste. Job भी नहीं लगी, कुछ भी नहीं हुआ. But then that's a very short-sighted view, right? Because what you're forgetting is that for the rest of his life, that person is going to be called, he's going to be known, he or she is going to be known that they went to Harvard. People, whenever somebody talks about that person, they will refer to him as Harvard graduated. When he applies for a job, there is a much higher chance that he will get recognition or he will be called for an interview because he comes from Harvard, and things like that. Now, this is where you also need to keep in mind that the brand value that you get is very different compared to what you would get if you went to a lower, just there are a lot of people who actually go to the US or Canada just for the sake of going abroad. Ki, हाँ, we just want that thappa. I'm not talking about those schools. If you're going to good schools, really top schools outside, then you need to start seeing at your MBA expenses as investment, because in the long term, you are always going to come out as a winner. It's not going to be take a short term you might face a bit of problems because of the take a job nahi laga, so you have to pay back in Indian rupees. But then the fact that you have been to Harvard or any other top school like INSEAD, Stanford, Stern, Columbia, whatever, the fact that you have been there shows that you're resourceful enough that you will be able to get out of this very, very easily and very, very quickly. Now, that said, the second part of your question, that Asians, or rather Europeans and Americans, are more preferred over Asians or Indians. Personally, I've never seen that, and I'm not even sure that happens. I think I think you need to improve your feed a bit, because you'll always find a lot of conspiracy theorists and things like that. I have lived in Europe for the last, not for the last, but I lived in Europe for almost 4.5, 5 years. I did not find any such issues. Uh, does not mean that it does not happen. Yes, obviously it happens, but it's not very common, and it's not going to be like it's not a huge problem that you face every day or something like that. Uh, it might happen with you, it might not, but that's again a lot of luck, a lot of factor about what sort of people you surround yourself with. It will not happen at good schools. It will not happen at good places that you go to.
Thank you, sir. So should we attend admission fairs?
Yes, yes. Again, it's the same thing as talking to alumni. You need to know as much as you can about your target schools. And for that, admission fairs are absolutely amazing. And now, obviously, you probably will not have any more physical fairs, but mostly online. So it's even easier to attend those fairs and go for it.
Thank you, sir. The next question is, what motivated you to help students to get admits?
All right. So, um, quite a personal question. So when I went to Switzerland in 2014, uh, since then actually I started helping a lot of my friends apply to different schools. So I helped a friend get to ISB. I helped another friend, and he got to ESSEC Business School for his MIM with a 100% scholarship. There was another friend I helped, and he got to Georgetown, and it was quite nice. And then when I was in Switzerland, I used to teach for GMAT part-time. So I was always associated with the industry. Uh, and I realized that I really liked doing that. So I had been doing this continuously for the last 4 or 5 years, continuously in the sense that I was always in touch with this. And then when I decided to come back to India, I thought, okay, this is something that I would really want to do full time. And that's basically how I started. So it really was, it was not just one moment, batti nahi jali dimag mein ki हाँ mentors खा लिया और हाँ यही करते हैं. It is something that I've been associated with for the last 5, 6 years or so, and have been continuously associated with this. So that's how it just fell into place like that.
Thank you, sir. So any final advice to the students?
Final advice would be, if you're thinking about MIM or MBA, don't think of it as, this is not your aim. Your aim will never be that you want to go for an MBA or that you will want to go for an MIM. MIM or MBA, they are both just tools that will help you get to where you want. So the easiest example that I can give you is if you want to, so right now you guys are in Delhi. Let's say someone of you wants to become a huge film star. All right. What will you do? You'll either take a plane or a train to Mumbai, and there you will try your luck. MIM or MBA is basically that train or plane. It will only help you get to Mumbai faster. It will not make you a film star. And that's all MBA is or MIM is. They are just tools. What you need to figure out is how fast do you need to go there. That's it. So don't spend a lot of time thinking ki this is exactly what you want to do, or don't try to force fit an MIM or MBA. Rather try to understand where do you want to go, and then see if an MIM or an MBA actually makes sense for you. If it does, then absolutely go ahead, do it. It's always easier, or it's always going to be faster to reach Mumbai with a plane than if you go by walking. So go do it. But then if it does not make sense, if it turns out that you don't really want to become a film star, you just want to open your own shop, then you don't need to go to Mumbai. Then you don't need to get that plane. Okay, it's absolutely fine. Everybody does not need to do an MIM or an MBA. So try to think for yourself. Don't get into the rat race. And I think that will probably help you out the most.
Uh, Thank you, sir. This is Nisha this side. I really want to thank you on behalf of the entire team for taking out your valuable time and answering so many queries of the students.
Thank you, Nishtha. It was really pleasure. It was a pleasure to be here. It's some questions I'm very happy to have answered because uh, I don't think students get those answers anywhere. I don't think you'll ever find this in a blog somewhere, right? So very, very happy to have been part of this.
And we also apologize for the technical glitches in the beginning of the webinar.
No worries. That happens always. Technology is meant for glitching. So yeah.
Yeah. And if the students would like to reach out to you in the future, can you please tell them how to contact you?
Absolutely. So if you would like to reach out to me, if you have personal questions, there are two ways to contact me. You could just go to my website, managementmasters.in, or you could drop me a message on LinkedIn, and I can see how I can help. And that would be the easiest way to get in touch with me. If someone of you is actually planning for your MIM programs or applying to it, again, get in touch with me on LinkedIn or drop me a message on my website, and we'll make sure that you get to the best programs possible.
Thank you so much. So I would also like to thank all of our attendees who took out their time and asked questions and made this an interactive session. We'll be concluding the webinar now. Thank you from the bottom of our hearts.
Thank you.